Hi guys, getting very close to the end of Season 3, with Episode 9 now of Mamemeister's High Score Kerfuffle. I have two thoughts about what to do for next season, and I'm going to let this week's game make the decision for me. I certainly feel like we need more shmups. Last week, we had a bit of an unusual choice, and that was Volfied, which was a selection from Ian, and he was the only person to choose that game. Volfied is the sequel to Kicks, both of which are unlike pretty much every other arcade game. You control a ship, and the aim of the game is to capture 80% of the screen by drawing lines from the edge of the screen that once returned to the edge, lock out that captured area. Volfied built on Kicks and added power-ups, a larger variety of enemies, and added in the smaller enemies which add to the challenge. For the uninitiated, it's pretty difficult, but once you get the hang of it, the first couple of levels are fairly straightforward and difficulty ramps up from there. Each level has different enemies, meaning individual strategies are required for each. Some you can pick off the power-ups close to the edge of the screen and hope for a laser to pick off the smaller enemies, or the time stop to capture a chunk of the screen in one go. Others are better to slowly build a bridge to the centre of the screen and create traps that capture some of the smaller enemies and grab power-ups near the centre. Most levels have a special power-up with a red dot on it. This is sometimes the laser, but can be the clearing of the small enemies or the triple laser that you can kill the boss with for a 100,000 point bonus. This highlights two of the frustrating things about this game, one being the random element, which can be frustrating, but also the big imbalance in bonuses. Even more imbalanced is the million point bonus that can be achieved if you clear the level with a single line, which can only be achieved with a small number of strategies. For this reason, I felt that furthest round was a fairer scoring system than points alone, which also meant more strategies are possible, which I feel made things more interesting. I did eventually get the hang of this game, but I didn't hugely enjoy it, and I found it one of the more frustrating ones to play. Let's now see how everyone's done. We had 13 submissions last week, plus an apology from our current leader Andrew, who wasn't able to get a version of the ROM working. I guess that's part of the challenge. But Andrew has a 35-point lead at the top, with 2 games left now, so I doubt it will make much difference. Once again, Retro Arcade Challenge was squeezed out at the points with a late submission from Big Juffer, who finished in 8th. For a while, there was a big group of people all on round 5, but everyone in that group was able to improve. Paul and Mark are in 6th and 7th on round 6. Colin did well to get to round 7 and did so with his final run during his live stream, including a bug in round 6 that meant the boss disappeared completely. He finished 5th. 10 Shearers and me both got to round 8, with 10 Shearers beating me on points. At the top, Bob had led for most of the week, a chunk ahead of everyone else, and was looking like he might take his first win of the season after consistent high-placed finishes. But the winner this week, with a late submission last night, getting to round 14 and maxing out the score at 10 points shy of 10 million, is Ian. That's Ian's first win of the season, and the first person other than Andrew or 10 Shearers to take a win. So well done to Ian, and let's see how that's affected the leaderboard. I've chosen not to include a histogram this week, due to playing for furthest round rather than high score. Given we're so late in the season, there's not much movement in the table. Colin's good effort has moved him clear of Robert in 9th. Ian's win has moved him ahead of both Paulie Moz and myself. The battle for 4th is well and truly on now. I'm in 6th on 67 points, Ian is 5th on 68 points, and Big Juffer is 4th on 69 points. With 2 games left, it's all to play for here. The top 3, however, are still way out in front, with significant gaps between each of them. With Andrew not playing this week, the gap to 10 Shearers has closed, but 20 points is still significant, given it's 25 for a win. Another good performance from Andrew will see him clinch this season's victory. Now let's take a look at what this week's game will be. So I've got everything loaded in once again, and have doubled Ian's choices. As I said at the beginning, I'm torn between 2 options for next season, and have been disappointed at the lack of vertical shmups, even though there are plenty of those that have been selected. Whether we get a vertical shmup will decide what we do for next season, so let's set the selector going. Okay, and I hit it again. Okay, so although Andrew's games weren't boosted, we've got one of his choices. So we've got Carnival, and again, it's a game I've heard of. I think it's an early game. So I'll go take a look, make a video, and back shortly. So this week's game is Carnival, developed by Gremlin and released by Sega in 1980. So it's one of the earliest arcade games, and definitely a classic. I've seen this, but never played it. These fixed shooters were pretty popular around this time, but they've never really grabbed me. This game was also chosen by Ian and Colin, so they should be pleased too. Carnival aims to mimic a shooting gallery, with various animals and bonus items scrolling across the screen, with the aim to clear everything. Unlike other games where you maybe have limited time or the chance to be killed, here the game mimics a shooting range where you are limited to a certain number of bullets, with bonus bullets being able to be won by hitting those items. I was hoping for a vertical shmup, and while this is close, it's not quite what I had in mind, so next season will definitely be shmup heavy. I hope you will enjoy playing some Carnival. I think it's one that's going to frustrate rather than entertain me. And I'll be back next week with the scores. See you then.